I shouldn't be talking to you. I know that. Every part of me is screaming to walk away from this. But here I am, talking. So Jake, we'll make this safe for you. No names, no locations, just the truth.
Safe? You can't promise me that. Nobody can. Once you know what I know, once they find out I told you, there's no such thing as safe anymore.
All right, I get it. But listen, you came here to tell your story. We're not here to put you at risk. Let's start from the beginning. You were hired to work on the ARC project. You've been inside, seen things that no one on the surface knows about. Why are you talking now?
Because the truth is, I don't think I'll make it out of this no matter what. So, someone has to know. They need to know what's been happening under their feet. If people understood even a fraction of what's going on, maybe they'd be able to stop it.
Okay, let's take it slow. You were in charge of construction for the underground ARC, right? Tell me what that was like. And why did they need someone like you?
Yeah, they needed my expertise. I was brought on as the lead engineer for the infrastructure. Water systems, air filtration, and power. It was all cutting-edge stuff. They've been building this place for years, perfecting it. What we've got underground is more advanced than anything you can imagine. But
what?
There were always things that didn't sit right with me. We were told we were building a refuge, a place for the elites when everything up here goes to hell. At first, that made sense to me. I figured, well, they're the ones with the money and resources. Of course, they're planning for survival. But it wasn't just that. They were preparing for something bigger, something worse.
Worse than the end of the world? What does that even mean?
At first, I didn't know. I wasn't supposed to. But over time, I saw enough to put the pieces together. The Ark, it's not just a shelter. It's an experiment. A long-term experiment to see how humans survive in isolation. But it's more than that. The people I saw down there, all of them weren't volunteers.
Wait, you mean people were taken?
Not just taken, recruited, some willingly. Others, well, they were misled. They thought they were signing up for high-paying jobs or safe refuge for their families. But once they got in, they couldn't leave. And then the testing began.
Testing? What kind of testing?
They wanted to know how long people could stay underground. What happens to the human body and mind after years without sunlight? They were testing everything. Physical health, psychological resilience, even reproduction. The people in charge, they're not just preparing for a catastrophe. They're preparing to outlast it, to rebuild from the ashes, even if it takes generations.
And these people, they agreed to this?
They didn't know what they were agreeing to. That's the thing. The Guidestone elites tell them one thing and then do another. I've seen people beg to leave, to go back to the surface. They're told it's too late. Once you're down there, you're a part of the system. And here's the worst part. Some of them weren't from this generation.
What do you mean?
People have been living down there for decades. Generations of families have been born underground without ever seeing the sun. They've been told that the surface world is toxic, that they're the lucky ones for being down there. They believe it. But the truth is, it's all a lie. They don't want those people back on the surface. They need them down there to keep the experiment running.
Generations? So they've been down there that long, living underground, and no one knows?
Exactly. And it gets worse. I started noticing things. The way certain areas of the Ark were restricted. Even I, as lead engineer, didn't have access to everything. There were whole sectors that were off limits. One day I was inspecting a ventilation system near one of those restricted areas. I saw something I'll never forget. I saw children, dozens of them. They were hooked up to machines, tubes, wires, monitored around the clock. These kids had never been outside. They didn't even know what the sky looked like. And the people running the place, they acted like it was normal. Like this was just part of the program.
Kids? What were they doing with them?
They were raising them like lab rats. These kids were part of the long-term survival program. They were trying to figure out how to make future generations even more resilient, stronger, smarter. But what I saw Those kids weren't thriving, they were suffering.
What did you do when you saw that?
I tried to report it, but the second I did, I was told to shut up and do my job. They said if I wanted to stay on the project, I had to forget what I saw, so I did for a while. But then I saw something else.
Something worse?
I saw what happens when the experiments fail. They have a disposal area deep underground where they send the ones who can't handle it anymore. The ones who've lost their minds or their bodies have broken down from years of confinement. They call it the pit. When I found it, I couldn't stay silent anymore.
The pit? Are you saying they just get rid of people down there?
Exactly. I saw it with my own eyes, and that's when I knew I couldn't stay. I couldn't be part of it anymore. But here's the thing. The last time I went back down there, something changed.
Changed? How?
There was someone waiting for me, someone who shouldn't have been there. It was a man I'd worked with years ago, one of the original engineers. He'd gone missing during the early phases of the project. Everyone thought he was dead, but he wasn't.
What was he doing down there?
He wasn't alive in the way you think. When I saw him, he was hooked up to machines. They were keeping him alive, barely. But what was left of him, it wasn't human. He'd been changed.
Changed? What do you mean?
They'd been experimenting on him for years. His body was a mess of scars and machines. He couldn't even talk anymore. But the look in his eyes, he recognized me. He knew me. And in that moment, I realized what the Guidestone elites are really doing. They're not just trying to survive underground. They're trying to evolve into something else.
Into what?
I don't know. But whatever it is, it's not human. And the worst part? They think this is the future, that this is what survival looks like. Not saving humanity, but replacing it.